Okay, so the last couple lessons we've been talking about breaking down numbers into their prime factorization. And then in 1.5 we use the prime factorization of numbers to find what we call the greatest common factor. Now what we're going to be doing is kind of turning it around a little bit. We're still going to be using the prime factorization of numbers, but now what we're going to do is we're going to find the least common multiple. So again, I want to talk about a couple things before we get too far into this. First of all, we talked about factors. Okay. Again, factors go into numbers. Okay. And in this lesson, we're going to be talking about multiples. Okay, and multiples are numbers that we multiply up to. So numbers that we multiply up to. So examples would be something like the factors of 6. Well, those are the numbers that go into 6. That would be 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. So those are factors, while multiples, we'll do here in yellow, multiples of 6 would be things like 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and so on. So again, there's infinitely many multiples that you can multiply up to. There's only so many factors of a number. So we should know that multiples are going to be a little bit bigger answers. So to start off this lesson, the first thing they do is they list some multiples. Again, when the numbers are small, this is okay. So if we look at our example up above, we have the multiples of 4 are listed out here. The multiples of 6 are listed out here, and you can see they listed out 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and you can keep going if you need to. 6, they went ahead 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and 36. Again, they've circled all of the common multiples that are there, but really the only answer we want is that least common multiple, and so that answer would be 12, the smallest one that they both go into. Okay, so before you go on, use the list method for 1, 2, and 3. Pause right now and find the least common multiple of those 3. Okay, so now that you've had some time to try these on your own, number 1, I'll write out here. If we do 3, we're going to say 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, and we can keep going if we need to, but if we list out 8s, we can see we have 8, 16, and 24. So we see that we have a common multiple, 24. Once we see that we have that common multiple, we can go ahead and stop. Okay, so you should get 24 LCM is equal to 2, 4. Number 2, we list out the multiples, and we get for 9, we get 9, 18, 27, 36, sorry, I had a brain fart there, 45, 54, okay, and I'm thinking I can stop here. For 12, we have 12, 24, and 36, and I can see already that I have a common multiple, 36, 36. I don't have anything common below 36 for either of them, so my LCM on number 2 will be 36. Okay, last one. So again, make sure you pause this and ask if you have questions. You should be getting these answers. If you're not, raise your hand and I'll come help. Last one here for 6. We're going to list out 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and let's go 36, and we can stop here if we know our multiples of 10 very well at all. We have 10, 20, and 30. So we can see that our least common multiple for 10 and 6 will be LCM equals 30. So again, make sure you got those answers. If you didn't, pause it real quick right here. I'll come check your workout and we can see where we went wrong. Okay, this next method, you guys, is something that advanced math kids have a hard time remembering how to do. So it may take us some time to really get this figured out, and that's okay. But we really need to pay attention to what's being done here. So first of all, they use the tree method. You guys, I like to use the ladder method. So I'm going to go ahead and write out the ladder method of each of these up here. So 16, if I ladder it out, we can divide by 2. We get 8. By 2 again, we get 4. 2 again, we get 2, and 2 again, we get our 1 that we need. So 16, the ladder method gives us 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And again, remember, it's important to write this out, you guys. You have to write out this prime factorization. Otherwise, there's no point in us doing it. But we're going to use that prime factorization, so make sure you write it out. For 20, if we ladder that, we divide by 2, we get 10. We divide by 2 again, we get 5. And 5 is prime. We get our 1. So 20 breaks down into 2 times 5. Okay, so here's where we need to do a little bit of work. The rule for least common multiple is we take the ones that they share and we can take those away. And then we take all the ones that they don't share and we tack them on at the end. So we see that they share 2 factors of 2 right here. We only write those 2 factors down one time for the 2 of them. Then we see that they have 3 more factors, excuse me. There's 3 more factors that are not shared here. So we need to write them out by themselves. They're not shared. We have to account for them somehow. And so that's how we get our least common multiple. We multiply up all these terms, 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, we get our answer 80. Our LCM equals 80. Now, again, 80 is really not that big, so we probably could have done a little bit of work here to find it, listing them. But when we get into our bigger numbers, this method of writing out the prime factorization of the 2 numbers and taking the ones that are shared, dropping them down, and then taking the ones that are not shared and tacking them on at the end will really help us get an answer much quicker than it would for a list. So again, re-watch this if you need to. Really pay attention to what I'm saying and doing as I work the problem. And then on the next page, I'm assuming I'm going to have you try some. Excuse me. Again, make sure you try them and get the right answer. So again, this is our next page. Make sure you pause really quick. Try these on your own. If you're not sure how to do these on your own, back up the video just a little bit and then try them. But make sure you try these on your own before you ask me for help right away, because otherwise it's really hard for me to gauge if you know how to do it or not. Alright, so now that you've had an opportunity to try these, let's go ahead and I'll work them out. So first thing we need to do for number 4 is we need to ladder out 14 and 18. Okay, again, we should know how to do this really well at this point. 2 goes into 14 7 times, 7 goes into 7 1 time. So for 14, when we ladder it out, we write 2 times 7. 18, we break down, 2 goes in 9 times, 2 doesn't go in, but 3 does 3 times, 3 goes in 1 time. So when I write my factors of 18 here, we have 2 times 3 times 3. Again, we take the ones they share, we write down 1 factor of them. Then we take the ones that they don't share and we tack them all on. So there's a factor of 7 and 2 factors of 3 that are not shared. So we take those all, we multiply them up, and let's see what we get here. So we have 9 times 7 will give us 63, times 2 will give us 126, I believe. So our least common multiple, LCM, should be 1, 2, 6 between those two. Again, I could have made a mistake there, but I don't think I did. Next one. So again, first thing we need to do is we need to say, okay, I need to break down 28 and 36. I ladder it out. 2 goes in 14 times, 2 goes in 7 times, 7 goes in 1 time. So we write out the factors. 28 is equal to 2 times 2 times 7. 36 we break down. 2 goes in, what is that, 18 times? 2 goes in again 9 times. 3 goes in 3 times, and 3 goes in 1 time. So it kind of ran in there, but we can see that 36 is equal to 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. So again, it looks like we're going to have a pretty similar answer here, almost the same, but we have to look at what's shared. So we share 2 factors of 2, we write them out. We don't share any of those other factors again, so 7, 3, and 3 are not shared. So we have basically 7 times 3 times 3. So we again have 9 times 7 is 63. Times 2 is 126, and we need to take 126 times 2. Sorry, I'm going to do this math out real quick. So we get a 2, we carry the 1, we get a 4, drop it. So I believe we get our LCM is equal to 252. Okay, one more. 24 we break down for number 6. We break down, we get 12. We break that down, we get 6. We break that down, we get 3. And we finally are at the 1. So we write it out. 24 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Okay, and then we take 90 and we break it down. 2 goes in 45 times. 2 doesn't go in, but 3 does, 15. 3 goes in again 5 times, and we get 5 1 time. So we write out our factors of 90. We get 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. So again, we take the factors that we share. We share a factor of 2, and it looks like we share one factor of 3. So we write those down. 2 times 3. Then we take the ones that they don't share. There's 2 2's, so times 2 times 2. There's 1 3, and there's 1 5. Then we multiply those all up, and I believe we get our answer. When we multiply those all up, we get our answer. LCM is equal to 360. So that's a 0. Sorry. Make sure you got those answers. If not, you better have this work. That way we can check over where you made the mistake. Again, we did not do the list method here. We were supposed to do the ladder method. So that's why I did the ladder method all the way through all of these up top. Make sure you guys have that same work. So really the rule is no different. If you look at this problem, we have 3 different numbers. I'm not going to ladder them out because, as you can see up above, the book has laddered them out. So I'm just going to cheat and use their factors that they have. So if you look here, we'll write these out and I'll kind of explain it. We have 4 is equal to 2 times 2. We have our other factor 15 is equal to 3 times 5. And again, they got this because they laddered it out. And the last one, 18, is equal to 2 times 3 times 3. Okay, so here's how this works. If you have a shared factor between all 3 numbers, you can reduce this down. But if you look at this here, there's no common factor in all 3 of them. So what we have to do to get our answer is we have to circle where the number is found the most. And that's what you read up here in the instructions. It says circle where the factor is found the most. So if there were other factors that are in here, you'd have to watch for those. But where we look at this, I have 2 factors of 2 in the top, 0 factors of 2 in the middle, and 1 factor of 2 in the bottom. So what I want to do is I want to take my 2 factors of 2 from the top and I'm going to write them down. 2 times 2. Okay, then I want to circle the next factor. So my next factor is 3. So looking through here, I have 1 factor of 3 here. I already know that this isn't going to be the row because I took the 2's from there. And then I have 2 factors of 3 from the bottom. So I'm going to take the 2 factors of 3 over the one that only has 1 factor of 3. So I multiply 3 times 3. And then lastly, all I have left is 1 factor of 5. And so when I multiply up all of those, where I have 2 2's, 2 3's, and a 5, I get 180 for my answer. So now try to use the same line of reasoning for number 7 and 8. for what we just did in that previous example, and then make sure you try this, work your answer out, show the prime factorization. Once you do that, go ahead and make sure you get the same answer I do. Okay, so we're going to write out the prime factorization for number 7. We have the numbers 2, which is just equal to 2. We have the number 5, which also happens to be prime. We just write 5. But 8, we can write out the factors of 8 as 2 times 2 times 2. So firstly, we want to take our greatest factor number of 2's, and that would be this first row. We have 3 factors of 2, so we're going to write out 2 times 2 times 2. Then the next one would be 3, but we don't have any anywhere, and then the next biggest one is 5. So we take that 1, 5, and when we multiply this up, we should get a number that all 3 of these numbers go into, and if we do, let's see, we take 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, we get 40, and I don't believe there's anything that goes into all 3 of those, or that all 3 of those numbers go into that's smaller, so 40 would be our answer. Okay, number 8. We have 3 different numbers again. We have 6, which again, you guys can do the ladder method. I'm just going to write what I get. It's going to be 2 times 3. For 10, we should know how to do the ladder method for this too. It's 2 times 5. And 12, we have our ladder method. It would be 2 times 2 times 3. So we look at this one, and this one again, we have to watch for our highest number of factors. So we start with 2. There's 2 factors of 2 here, and there's only 1 factor of 2 in our other 2 rows. Now 3 is kind of tricky because 3 is only 1 factor in each, 6 and 12. We can take the factor of 3 from the 6 because we've already used the 12, and then for the last factor, 5, it's the only one in that row that we haven't used up. So we have to take 2 times 2 times 3 times 5, and we should be able to get our answer fairly easily that all 3 of them go into. That's the lowest. You would get 60. Number 9 is kind of a tricky one. If you think you have an answer that would be right for a set of numbers whose least common multiple is 100, you can raise your hand and maybe I'll make it some bonus for this assignment. But just think of this. Make sure that the least common multiple is 100. If you give me 2 numbers or 3 numbers that's least common multiple is less than that, I won't give you any bonus points. So we'll make number 9. We'll call this one a challenge. Okay, and what you can do is you can say challenge and put that on the tail end of your homework. And if you want a chance at some bonus points, just do that number 9 at the end of your homework. I just want to talk through this story problem really quick because we're probably going to see one in our homework. Understand if they give us 2 numbers and they're saying to find the least common multiple of 2 numbers, you're just going to do either one, list or prime factorization, and use the ladder method on those to figure out your least common multiple. But understand, you guys, in this homework assignment, all we're doing is finding the least common multiple, so there should be no question as to what the story problem is asking us to do. Go ahead now and go to my calendar and find the assignment that's next to this video link and go ahead and get started on that assignment. Thanks. Good job.